Hey, Vulture Nation? Okay, so in Tears of the Kingdom, right? The sequel to Breath of the Wild, formerly known as Breath of the Wild 2, Ganondorf is back, right? Or at least Ganon in some shape or form, like he usually is. And he seems to be a real issue this time, not unlike last time, but this time for real. Because you know, Hyrule's already kind of fucked since the Calamity. And I'm sure they'd like to get back on their feet sometime soon, but that's gonna be tough if this guy is still around doing whatever the fuck he's doing. So, you know, historically, how is Ganon usually dealt with in Zelda games? Well, usually it involves the Master Sword, right? The sword that seals the darkness, it's called that for a reason. You know, maybe there was some shit with in Breath of the Wild, because Ganon was sealed in that game, or at least Dark Beast Ganon was sealed in that game by Zelda. Triforce fucking shit. But I'm thinking maybe that wasn't enough because you need the Master Sword or some shit, and that's why he's back in Tears of the Kingdom. Maybe I'm just thinking there's only one problem with that, is that of almost everything we've seen of the Master Sword in Tears of the Kingdom so far in the trailers and shit is fucked, and it's like broken as hell. And like it's been broken before, of course. It was broken in Breath of the Wild, but then it was like rusted and like had some malice splatter on it and shit. Maybe some scratches. In Tears of the Kingdom, half of the sword is like gone completely. The Master Sword is fucked up, beyond repair, some might say. I would say not though, because there's one guy who I can always trust to repair my Master Swords, and that's the Great Deku Tree. One problem with that though, the Deku Tree is also fucked in Tears of the Kingdom, because from all the overview shots we can see of Central Hyrule in the trailers, the Deku Tree just seems to be like gone completely, as far as we can see, and along with a lot of like the whole Korok forest around it, which is like not great for our hero, of course. I'm thinking if Link, you know, wants to kill Ganon, which he probably does, he's gonna need this fucking sword repaired, but the guy who usually does it, the Deku Tree, is gone, so we're gonna need to get him back. Well, that brings me to the main part of this theory. In Breath of the Wild's Hyrule, around the map, there's a bunch of these huge trees, like big ass trees. I'm not talking about like a nice little fucking weeping willow or whatever. These are like these gigantic fucking tree trunks all over the map in a bunch of different places. They share one thing in common though, aside from all being really huge, is that they're all dead. And not just dead from like natural causes, they've all been either like cut, like sawed, killed, cut, or like hollowed out completely, which doesn't really happen naturally, I think. Which, you know, begs the question, you know, these trees are pretty sick, you know? If I was the king of a kingdom and my kingdom had these big ass trees, I wouldn't want to cut them down, even if they had a bunch of wood inside them. These trees are sick. Why would they just be cut down for no reason? And also combined with the fact that all these big trees, at least most of them, I think all of them, are protected or surrounded at least by Ganon's minions, like bokoblins, moblins, and Lizalfos and shit, and like Wizrobes.
I was too cringe and stupid and retarded to finish my entire point when recording this first. But basically I think that all these enemies being around the big trees that have been cut down kind of indicates that they may have played a part in cutting them down, and that Ganon doesn't like these trees. And basically I think that they wanna like protect the tree trunks and make sure that they don't sprout up and grow again. And I'll get more into why I think that later, but just yeah,
There is, however, one giant massive tree in Breath of the Wild's Hyrule that is not dead and cut down and killed and shit. The Great Deku Tree that we just talked about. And this is largely influenced by a YouTube video I saw that's kind of inspired this, another theory made by Wolflink on YouTube. Check out that video or whatever. But basically I think that all these giant tree stumps that you can find around Hyrule that have been killed and are being guarded by monsters were the Deku Tree's previous or current more recent attempts to sprout up in numerous other places around Hyrule. Like they're all connected by the same like root system or some shit. Like the Deku Tree's big ass roots cover the whole kingdom or some shit. and he tries to grow up in different places, but Ganon's like, fuck you, and he cuts it down because he hates the Deku Tree, because he's a good guy. And then the reason the Deku Tree in the Korok Forest that we know of as the Deku Tree is fine is because it's in the Lost Woods, where Ganon's minions presumably can't get because it's too like hard to wander through there, I guess. And that's why that Deku Tree has survived, and it's the one that we know and love today. And that brings me to the last proper Tears of the Kingdom trailer.
By which I mean the one that came out 2 months ago, because I've been a lazy cunt making this video.
Where we see this one part, this one shot of an underground area with like stalactites in the ceiling and shit. And there's bokoblins and they're mining, and there's some like blue spirit flames in the corner that a bunch of people have talked about, but I don't give a fuck about because they're lame as fuck. Basically, this underground area has a bunch of weird shit in it. Like there's spores and weird particles in the air, and there's like weird plants all around the cave. Basically giving me major root system and mycelium vibes, okay? And there's like majorly like powered up enemies there that are like surrounded by malice energy and shit. So I'm thinking Ganon wants this place protected, and he doesn't want Link to be fucking around in there doing shit. So yeah, I think a big part of Tears of the Kingdom's main story is gonna be about reviving the Deku Tree through his like major root system, and Link will be going down there killing fucking powered up bokoblins and shit, and has to help the Deku Tree find a new place to sprout. But then, you know, trees can take a while to grow, so maybe he'll need to water it with some Tears of the Kingdom or some shit, you know? Some bonus shit I want to talk about. In the newest gameplay video that came out a couple of weeks ago, there is this little Korok guy with a big backpack walking around, and I think that just kind of supports the theory that the Korok Forest is gone, along with the Deku Tree, or at least like fucked up in some sort of way. Maybe that Ganon's taken it over, and he now is going around trying to find a new place to live or some shit. You know, that could be cool. And also, regarding my last theory video on Breath of the Wild,
the crystals from Lego Power Miners.
I totally fucking called it.
The Lego sets that came out very long ago.
The entire game is literally Lego Power Miners. You're building vehicles with these parts, you're putting shit together and sticking things together with each other like Legos, and there's massive underground parts. Like the game is literally Lego Power Miners, and I totally called it in my last video. But yeah, subscribe to my YouTube tutorial channel, and stay epic.